tonight I would like to talk to you about the different types of dogmen that are out there. Laymen know them as werewolves and some of their historical significance. Now, this is something I really had to look into. I know a bit about Dogman. I've heard a lot of the stories, as mysterious as Sasquatch is, and we know very little about the Dogman other than some reports, because they seem to be a little bit more rare and less widely distributed as Bigfoot. But I looked into it, and it turns out there are close to probably 7 different types, perhaps more, that are easily recognized. So some of the historical significance of dogmen and werewolves, or whatever you want to call these things. One of the most obvious that most of you probably know of is the god Anubis in the Egyptian lore. It was a god of the underworld, I believe, and it had a jackal-like head and a human-like body, and attributed a lot of powers and things that wouldn't be normally associated with an animal. And then all over Europe, you have stories of werewolves, of men transforming into these giant beasts, and also the story of vampires seemed to be linked to them as well, and then battles that these species have. And you always have stories in Eastern Europe and all over the world of small villages being raided by packs of these dogmen and werewolves, and people disappearing in the night, and blood-curdling howls, too big to be wolves. And whether this is based off of dogman sightings or wolf packs or something in the middle, you can kind of see how Bigfoot gets portrayed as the wild man of the woods or the wild woman of the woods. You can see how packs of wolves and packs of dogmen could be misconstrued, especially if a man goes missing at night and then one of these dogmen shows up and takes other people. You could totally see how they could be misconstrued as a werewolf or transforming into them. Especially if the person comes back the next day. Now, I don't think dogman as we know it in North America transforms. They might, I don't know. But I like to think of these things as an upright walking canine species that runs around and competes with Bigfoot, and they run in packs. They have alphas. There's stories of them being big packs, 20 or 30 of them, even more. Quite large family groups. So when it comes down to it, there's a lot of people seeing these things. There's historical significance. There's a lot more here than I'm covering historically. So people are really seeing something. And I was aware that there were different types, ones that look more like an upright, just like a dog standing up. And then there's ones that look huge across the chest with narrow waist. So let's jump into it and take a look at the different types. One of the things that separates these two into categories with 7 different types of them is the first category has a more man-like leg with a plantigrade, with a flat foot on the ground, and a normal length foot and a knee. And then the second type has more of the extended forepaw with a digigrade type, with the knee protruding out front and the back acting like a second hinge. Now the first human type one you will see is tall, lean with a strong baboon type. The second one is more with like a chow-like head, where the snout doesn't come out as far, but has big, strong, powerful teeth. And then the other one you see that look more like a Sasquatch with a muzzle, like the Beast of Seven Shoots. Now, I think these are all different varieties of what some people refer to as a Gugwe or a Type 3 Bigfoot. Now, I know with the different types of Bigfoot, people put them in different orders, and it doesn't really matter as long as they're all included in there. And these may be even juvenile species and subspecies of others. Or offshoots, just kind of like how people can look radically different. So I think these might be all different variants of what we would refer to as a Gugwe in different points. Now, the second group of dogmen people are seeing are the more canine-like, where they have that dog-like leg with the extended forepaw. The first type is the type 1. It looks more like a standing timber wolf. They don't have a huge broad shoulders, but they're like an upright walking dog, very unnatural. The second type is more like an upright standing hyena, a little bit bigger shoulders, terrible, more round ears, and big nasty fangs. Hyenas are nasty animals. I can't even imagine putting it into like a dog-like form. And the third type I think is kind of your quintessential with the really pointy ears, the very broad shoulders, a very strong body, and a narrow waist. These are kind of what you think of the real demonic, although I think they're all pretty evil. And then there's the type 4 people talk about, the extremely large head, more of a soldier type, but maybe not quite as big a body. Now here's a famous photo of a car backing up, and you can see the Dogman in there, reportedly in a rearview mirror, or Bear Man as they're referred to. And this is, I think that's a good example of what a classic Dogman might possibly look like, one of the varieties. And then you can see here's a picture of the Beast of Seven Shoots. I think this is more of like your human Sasquatch-like variety. This is a pretty good example. Now, these photos, I know the Seven Shoots photo pretty well, and I know that's real, but the backup one there in the light camera, if that's fake, whatever. But anyway, it's a good representation of what we're talking about, of the dog-like in the first photo and the more Sasquatch-like in the second photo. So this is pretty much it. There's different types of dogmen. So if you hear encounters of it look like a couple just regular dog German Shepherd wolves standing up, or if you hear it looked 14 feet high with super broad shoulders and a super narrow waist but had a dog-like leg, people are reporting all those. To me, all this stuff's very fascinating, very terrifying at the same time. Don't think too much about it. It'll keep you up at night. Tonight we have a special report brought to you by the nationalcryptidsociety.org. They're friends of ours. They're great. Go check out their website. I'll leave a link below. So this picture's been floating around on the internet the last couple days, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. It's very suspect, but interesting and kind of scary all at the same time. Appears to be a large wolf canine-like creature. Some people have said German Shepherd, although I don't think the coloring is exact. You can see it walking on its hind legs. Also, what's very fascinating is you look at the forearms. The left forearm leg seems to be very malnourished or misshapen, and the right forearm appears to be bone, which is incredibly odd and kind of scary. Here's a close-up of the mid torso. You'll also see that the upper torso and the lower torso don't exactly match. Now, I know dogs can somehow stand up on their hind legs for a second or two to peer over things. Some have reported Dogman to be more quadruped, different varieties of Dogmen, I guess, and some stand up. But that bony arm is really freaky to me. I don't know what that is. Some people have suggested that this is a taxidermy project that someone put out there. Other people have suggested that it's a Photoshop item, although it doesn't necessarily look Photoshop to me. Like, I think it's a real photo, but of a creature or a statue or something. I'm going to stay pretty ambiguous on this one on what exactly it is, so we're just going to throw some theories. Here's the anatomy of a wolf. You can kind of see that it does somewhat match up with the bone structure. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how can it survive? It'd probably be incredibly painful, less nerve damage, rotted off, I don't know. But here's a deer that was shot a while back, and the hunter was surprised to find that this deer was essentially walking around on bones and surviving. And it would have to run and eat and hide and do all the rest of the stuff basically on its bones. So I guess there is cases of something like this happening. I'm not quite sure what this is. I'm leaning on it's a hoax. It was found in Wisconsin. It was on a newscast website for a day or so. But then again, I could be wrong. It could be real. Let me know what you guys think in the comment. Like I said, I'm staying kind of neutral on this one. Thanks.